Renaldo has been working as a technology coordinator, a technology curriculum advisor, and as an educator for quite some time. And he has done some absolutely amazing work, and I'm thrilled to be able to share some of that with you all here today. Renaldo's work is, I think that the reason Renaldo's work is particularly impressive is because it is absolutely clear from the minute that you meet him that he is deeply invested in the importance of delivering valid, significant educational material to students, providing educational training opportunities to educators inside of his system. He's one of those people who lights up when he sees an opportunity to deliver education. I think you're gonna see that today as well. So what we thought we'd do is Renaldo's gonna share with you some of his experiences. Some of those experiences are recent experiences having to do with some learning analytics and collaboration projects that he's been working on piloting for us. But also he's going to share with you a lot of the experiences that he's had in traditional K-12 classroom environments, working with educators and providing material. So Renaldo Lawrence.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am like super excited to be here. I live in London. And I must put this in. My son also played in the Olympics this year, which was quite cool for me as a father. Some of the things that I want to show you today. First of all, I believe very passionately that we are in charge of the rest of the world. And I don't know whether you check your age lately, but it's slowly going up. And then we got these little people who are slowly coming up who are going to be looking after us. And to me, that's quite a frightening prospect when I see some of the kids on the street. So it is my sort of life goal to try to enhance the materials and teachers' knowledge base of what we're trying to do in order to enhance those kids' lives. I work in the school, Chiswick School, my first year there, God bless you, I've been there for 2 months. And it is different, it is different. We have about 50% of the students are on free school meals. We have a large population there of maybe one-parent families. We have 38 different languages. So what I want to talk to you today about is how we are trying to then get all that and make sure that the students are learning from that. I last year worked at about 5 different schools, and I taught in some and building stuff in others. And as of 2013, I moved to Chiswick, and I'm just these things that they're not me, but they're just what I do. Okay, thank you. Next. This is the mission statement from the head, in which he actually said that he wanted to be, cutting edge. And importantly, that he wanted all the students to have devices. And by the end of the academic year, every student will have his or own roaming device. So I thought that was really cool when we were talking about me actually going and being employed with him. Okay, next, please. And then this happened. He sent me a note and said, well, Renaldo, just to let you know before you got here, your appointment broke all the rules. There are people who don't want you here. So I thought, yes, I've made it. I've made it. People who are actually saying that they don't want me. Good. So essentially what happened was it changed the staffing structure at the school in terms of bringing me in. But what I knew before I got there was this. If you have no idea what's possible, you have no idea where you can go. So what my job was to actually try to show them what was possible, because the head saw that, but staff had no idea. And why should they? If you've never seen it, why should you know? Also, technology brings in fear to a lot of people who are just trying to manage the classroom day to day and manage behavior day to day. The materials that I want to show you today are materials that we're using for the classroom. And what I've been fortunate enough to do through the wonderful tools from Adobe and 1 or 2 from Apple is to create content that we can share with the students, that the students can learn day in and day out. But even more importantly to me is that parents can see. Parents know what their children are doing at school. It's transparent. So when you come to parent evening, I can't run anywhere because this is what I said we're doing, and this is what we're supposed to be doing. If we're not doing it, then I'm accountable. On the other hand, we want the materials where the students can actually listen to, and in some cases, see the teacher in front of them all the time. So I have a big problem, and this is probably going to make some people mad, but I could care less. A lot of the materials that are being produced out there, that's great. But they can't help my kids because my kids don't know those people. They have no idea why should they be associated or why should they like what they're listening to. So I've embarked upon the quest of, we have 1,200 students, 100 plus members of staff. I've embarked on the quest to, I'm working with every single teacher in the school, every single department. So what we're doing is I'm using Presenter in order to create learning materials from every single teacher to give to those students that they can see at home and they can see within the classroom. The first thing that it does for me in terms of differentiation, it allows the students to differentiate where they are at any point in time. Could you hit tab through, please? This is an example, can you hit of the presenter presentation. So this was the first step that we took. And what I love about this is this. On the next slide, can you just pause it because he's going to start talking? Yeah. First of all, could you just hit play for a minute, please? There is text, so you can actually listen to what the individual is saying. The other thing that's crucial to me is this. If I wanted to share content with those students or the parents, we could actually link up all the content. Can you hit the paper clip, please? We could link up all the content down there, and we could give them all the documents that they need to do whatever they want, whenever they want it, and whenever they needed to. Yes?
So these are like files that you've attached to the slide that they can go get to?
Yes, but even more importantly, files based on the subject content from their teacher. Okay? So I go into the classroom, I ask them what they're doing, I would observe a lesson, I then get some sort of idea of the structure and how they have formed their lesson. They give me the documents. I take the documents, I do audio recording or video, whatever they need. I then compile this from there and put them in there, and then we publish it. And when we publish it, we give each of the students a folder, we put it on the internet site, and we also make it available on the website. Okay? No excuses. Wide open. Come get me. No excuses. And I think that's the way it should be. You know, I think education is at the point now where, you know, we need to make sure that these kids are ready, because these kids, you know, it's tough out there. And in England, the job situation is where it's at an all-time low. And so you got a lot of these kids actually coming to school and see no prospect of doing anything. But I'm saying to them, there's a lot of prospects. I'm saying to them that, you know what, you can go home. And the beauty of this is, to me, is they can put their headphones on and no one has to know what they're doing. And they can learn themselves. They can stop it, pause it, go outside and play, do whatever they want, come back and take on. So the other thing that we wanted to do, when I spoke to Alan about what they were doing with the technology, I was like, wow. Because now what happens is, I am able to produce a course like that, but then I can have the teachers look behind the scenes and actually see what's going on with all the students, and actually see what the students are doing, who did what slide, how long they stayed on the slide, and you get a real good idea. An example would be like recently I did the presentation with one of the teachers I used to work with, and she was off at a conference. So when she came back home that night, she could actually flip through, see who had done what, how long they spent on the slide, what student did whatever that they needed to do, and then she was better informed the next morning when she went back into classes to make sure that she knew what they were supposed to do or that the students knew what they were supposed to do. So what we're doing here is, when the students actually come in, they are actually able to log in. They're then actually able to, on the question mark down there, they are able to click on the question mark, and they're able to actually enter questions that they're unsure about. So the beauty of this, the teacher right then and there, she can actually fill in the answers to the questions. Or even more importantly, if a student knows the answer, they can fill in the answer to the questions. So what that does for us is it takes out the earnest of the teacher always having to do what they need to do in terms of answering every question, but if kids then start helping each other. And to me, the collaboration part of it is even more important because they're collaborating together, they're teaching each other, and they do kid language. I don't do kid language, but they do kids language, so they understand each other, and they understand what each other are talking about and what they're saying. So here's a great example. So if we click on more questions, please. So when we click here, as you can see, can you click on the other tab, the first tab?
The first,
Here.
like
Here.
there?
Questions.
Oh, questions, sorry. This one.
You can see here, those are a list of the questions that the students actually put in. And then if you click on any one of the answers, like she answered here, if you click on answer with one that's been answered, you can see that's the answer. They can put in whether it's been useful for them and what they've done and how they have done it. And it's just been, you know, we are on the trial to this. And I've loved it so much, the teachers have loved it so much that we're going to roll it out through the whole school. I'm going to work with every single department and build these types of presentations, so what we can then do is we can actually track the students and see what they do. And we're going to share this information with parents. We're going to share it with parents. So if when they come to parents' evening and mom comes in and she says to me, well, you're not doing right by little John, I said, well, here's the data. This is what little John is not doing for himself. Okay? And then we're going to use it even in a more positive way. We're going to use it to help the students help themselves. In terms of analytics, this is behind the scenes. Now what happens here is we can now see who visited the top slides. We get all the information that we need based around the students' performances. So if we go to students, please. Here, when the students log in, all of the information is put there. So the beauty of that, if I needed to go to any one of the students, I could click on any one of the students, and it would then jump to that bits of information, and it would fill in the bit of information that I need to know about for that particular student. The great thing about this also is that it limits the amount of work the teacher has to do. But he or she can get a quick snapshot of what they need to do in order to make sure that that class is progressing along. Yes?
I want to hear the presentation, but you have multiple classes that you want to send it to. Can you divide it up by classes so you're only analyzing one class at a time?
That is, am I still on? Yeah, okay. So that is an excellent question. Right now, the system doesn't do that. But this system is actually only about, how old is this system? 3 months? 6 months, something like that. So one of the reasons engineers are actually here is they're actively working on the system to make changes like that. So we've had a lot of requests for things like making more control over the back end so that you can do things like administer different groups of students getting the same piece of data over multiple semesters and things like that. So it looks like those kinds of things are coming. Right now what it does is gives you a heads up and allows you to look at that material both in terms of what the outcomes were, but it'll also let you do some prediction as to what a student's likely outcomes are over a period of time based on their performance against the performance of other students in the class.
And
So
it's wonderful. It really is wonderful. And I love it because, first of all, in the school that I'm at now, I need to make sure that the kids have done everything they need to do, okay, because I don't see them that much. So this can give me a real idea of where I'm at with every single student and as a class as a whole, okay. Like I said, we're going to roll it out. And I'm hoping that we will get everything like up and really running, and so we can like really put it out. Because what I would like to do when I get back in about 3 or 4 months, I'm speaking to government about what we're doing, and I'm going to push Presenter in a big way because I think it's such a valuable tool. And even if you're not using the analytics, I think when they're finished with it, it will be extremely valuable. But even to be able to give the students the content where they can study, to me, that's invaluable. To me, that's absolutely invaluable. Yes, because you can build quiz into it, and then what will happen is when the kids answer the questions, you will see what they've done in terms of the quiz, and you can get a knowledge check of where they were at.
And they're accessing this through your website?
Yes. Yeah, you put it up online, and once you put it online, they then log in, and when they log in, then it starts tracking the data.
This is actually one of the funniest stories. So we have case studies going on right now with about 8 folks around the world, and Renaldo called and we had the same conversation that I've had with everybody about this. He said, Alan, so where do I have to put this so it works? I said, online. And he said, Alan, where do I have to put it online? I said, online. He said, so like in my LMS? Sure, yeah, sure. So I have to put it in my LMS? No, just online. Anywhere online. Yes, anywhere online. So really, anywhere online.
And that like freaked me out.
Anywhere.
Okay.
Well, it confuses people, and I'm not sure why, but I think everybody expects that you have to put it into kind of a core system or something.
Yes.
Like I use Edmodo.
You can. We have pilot
I
groups.
have my own website
Yeah.
where I post my videos because YouTube is blocked from the
Yes.
so they can't access, you know. So I'm just trying to figure out.
Most of our
Students have to have Adobe accounts to
No.
log in. Like what's the log?
Most of our, they don't have to. No, you do as the educator, but no student has to. And then the K through 12 educators, almost all of the groups that we've talked to also use Edmodo. So you,
Yes,
can,
they do.
you can be in Edmodo, just load it as an Edmodo element, and then it'll still work.
So what we did with the photography teacher is that he merely put a link, because I've got it hosted on my site, so he merely put a link on there, and then the students open it up. And so when I went in and I was helping him get everything up and get started with it, the amazing thing was that after about 2 minutes, he said to me, well, what do I do? And I think that's what these pieces of software does. It allows you to teach. It allows you to work with kids who really need your help, okay, instead of just being there. The other thing that it does for me and for my staff, it allows them to work on things that they need to get across to the kids. And if I, as a student, understand this, why must I listen to you again? Why? I can jump to where I need to jump to learn what I need to learn to satisfy my needs. Okay? If you want to give homework, another class example, it can differentiate the homework for you also. Okay, so I absolutely love it. And I'm hard to please. I am so hard to please. Because if it's not worth it, I don't want to waste my time. And this has been one of the best tools I've ever come across.
That's the first I see Edmodo because I don't think the assessment tools in Edmodo are very quick.
Link from there. Link from there. Yeah, link from there. Could we go back to the slide, please? One of the things that we're doing, because we have so many different languages, and because we want to share the content in so many different ways, because I don't think it's viable just to share the content where you give it in one particular way. Everybody doesn't have those particular devices, or everybody don't learn or whatever in the same way. So what we're doing is we're creating a lot of PDF content. And you do that right out where you can just spit out the PDF documents. And so when you put out the PDF document, you can just give kids the PDF file. So one of the examples of what we're doing, can you just go to here, please? So one of the things we're doing now is a lot of the content, we're putting the content in PDF files. We're then sharing those PDF files with parents. The other thing that I'm doing with the heads and senior management is when they come in, because they get new staff just about every year or every other year, all the content that they need to talk to staff about, we're recording that, embedding it in the PDF, and putting a password on it. So staff then, like this was my first year, I had no idea some of the rules, but if they would have had something like this, I could then access that and find out exactly what I'm doing and what I need to do. So in here, if you click the play button, please, there is sound. So we've got video embedded inside of there. And one of the things that the staff wanted to do was a lot of them didn't want their face there, so we found caricatures. And what I did, do you know Crazy Talk Animator? You should do. What I did was I used Crazy Talk Animator. The process was I took the video, or took the character, put it behind in Fireworks, put it behind on a green, a green document, exported that out, brought it in the After Effects, keyed that out, add in the closed captioning stuff, spit it out as a video, then brought it into here. Okay, I hope I didn't talk sort of Greek. But I swear, if I can do it, man, anybody can do it. So if I can learn it, anybody can learn it, okay? So the other thing we wanted to do, now there's another document behind it, which is a PDF document. The other thing we wanted to do, yes, is then to turn all of those, so if you click play, please, into different languages. So this is the same one, a different one, but in French. Okay? So I'm working with all of the members of staff to create and change most of the material. Because we have 38 different languages at my school. 38. 38. I barely can speak one. Okay? But we got 38. So we need to make some way possible for parents who don't speak English very well that this material is available for them, and that's one of the ways that we're doing it. Okay, can you just close those down so we...
You bet.
One of the things that we're doing for every single department in school, I'm sorry about this, Al, but you're gonna have to switch back, is that we're creating YouTube channels for all the departments. What then happens is all the videos that we create in the classroom, we're gonna upload them to YouTube. If you go to the, all the videos here, if you come down some, please. Scroll down. Oh. Yeah, I know the resolution is crazy, right?
Okay.
You can see here, we got all the videos, so we're gonna upload those videos. There ain't any excuse for a kid to tell me now, I didn't know what I had to do. There's none, none. And what I'm gonna show you in a minute proves even more so, okay? So there's no way they can tell us we're doing this for every single department, every single teacher, okay? Yep, so that's what we're doing in terms of that. So students inside of the iPad apps that we're building, inside of all the apps that we're building, we're actually taking it over and they can then just hit a button or whatever and go. But the other thing that we're doing, which I'll show you in a moment, is that we are, can you switch to the iPad please? Is
yes.
that we are building and embedding QR codes. Because in InDesign, you can create QR codes. So we create QR codes and put them inside the documents. And could I just sit there now? And I'll just walk you through what we're doing there. So we have quite a few things that we're doing. The first one that I'll show you we're doing is for each of the books that we're doing, we're building ebooks for all the modules. So as a student, if I'm coming in, what we don't want to do is bombard the students with a lot of materials. So we're giving them module by module, and we're going to put all the stuff up on the web or make it available within the classroom, so whatever module they're studying, they can get that particular module themselves, okay? When you go to a real job, they don't bombard you with a lot of stuff like we do in school. You do what you need to do at any particular time. So what we're trying to do is mirror where those kids are going to go when they leave us. So from here, they click on one, they turn the pages just like they would normally do for a book, but what we've got here is we've then got video embedded inside the book.
Need to provide the context in which the multimedia product is being developed. We will also need to...
And we're doing that with all of the content that the students will need to learn. When we were talking about and this was the photography thing, what we're doing is this. And this could be any message that you want to give to parents as they're coming in. It could be whatever you want to give to them. So what happens then is this come up, we come into the actual book, we can come across, then what we've got is we've got video where they can explain to students exactly what they need to do. If we come on through any information, here what we can do is we can actually zoom in, give the kids information. So if you think about science and you think about photosynthesis, if you think about the structure of a plant or anything, you can actually go deep down and actually explain to kids what they need to do and how they need to do it. So we come on through, and what we've got here is we've got audio, which explains to them exactly what everything is and exactly what they need to do, okay? Now, we've also got here a glossary where I was talking about when the kids click through, they can use their phones and actually use a QR scanner and scan and actually go to the work. Now, how we use this is like this. When students come in, they're allowed to bring their devices in, obviously. From October 26th, every single year 7 will have an iPad. Now, the most interesting thing about that is this. The school has decided that it is such a valuable learning tool that what they want to do is they want to make sure that every single child has that tool. So they're putting out all the money to buy them. So all the students are getting these devices. Now, all the students have to do is pay, I think it's 20 pounds a term. If you're on special school meals, you pay 10 pounds a term. So you can't beat that. You can't beat it. All the names are engraved on the back of the devices. All the school name is engraved on the back of the devices. So the students who can't afford to do that, either one, We still have the devices in school, they just don't take them home. They just don't take them home. And then we guarantee them that we have them charged up for the next day for lessons. That's like really cool. You can't beat that.
Renaldo, what's it like for these students when they see their teacher inside one of these ebooks or inside the video pieces, that kind of thing? How do the students react to this stuff?
Well, I think the first thing, and one of the first comments I got from one of the students was, it's about time. It's about time. And I think what she meant by that, it was that she was tired of trying to understand her notes all the time. She was tired of trying to, I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm listening to people, sometimes I doze out and doze back in. Everybody does it. So now it doesn't have to happen now. They can go back and listen to the video. And if I remember in a minute, I'll explain to you how we actually are orchestrating lessons now and what we're doing. And to do that, I want to show you this. So again, a kid comes in, they have their devices. What they do is they scan the QR code on their phone. They can look at the video on their phone, then they can do work on their iPad, okay? So they've got the whole thing going on, okay? Now, one of the other things that we're doing that I'm quite excited about is this. When I got this job, one of the first things that the head said to me was, you understand that people probably will have no idea what you're talking about unless you build something to show them. So I went in for 2 days. I did all the audio recording from the members of the geography department, and I built a DPS app, okay, Digital Publishing Suite. So what we then did was we came through. This is the table of contents right here. The other thing that I think is crucial that I show you is this. I thought it was very important that regardless of what we're doing, that the students, and I can't show you this on this, but you can see here, that all the students, regardless of the device, that they had the same thing on regardless of the device. So we're on the next page, so that's the same thing. So they have access to all the materials, okay, all the materials, anytime they want, anytime they want, whenever they are ready to learn. The next thing that we have here, if you come on through, what we have is we have a little animation, and this is the beauty of Adobe, I think, is that the tools work together. Like this is Edge Animates, and so they all work together. If you rotate the device, that's a user guide for how to use the actual device itself, okay? The other thing that we have here is we have a video which explains to students about applications.
If you scroll below.
So if we come on through up here, these are all the applications that we're going to use within the classroom, well, a sub-selection of them. And how do I know that they need, or that they know how to use those apps? Well, what we do, each one of those turns into a video. So the video explains to everybody what exactly they need to do. The difference on that one between that app and the one on the phone is that you probably can't see this, but if they don't have the app on their phone, that would allow them to download it straight away to their phone. So there's no waiting or no, I don't have this, okay? So it allows them to do it straight away. So when we come on through, what we have now is we have the lessons. So I just want to talk to you right now about this series of lessons and how we actually structured the lesson. So again, we have all the videos. Okay, so now, this is how the lesson is structured, and this is what we do. When the students walk in, they have the iPads. They will get them on the 26th of October, but we have a shared group of 60. So we booked out the iPads. Each of the students had some headphones, be it the ones we gave them or their own headphones. What happens then is this. Students come in, we have what we call a resource table. On the resource table, we have all the resources which are referred to in the video. Kids are only allowed to ask 2 questions to start with. That's it. When those 2 questions are done, no more questions. What happens is this. The students put on the headphones, start working through the lessons. They come to a point in time that they need to ask another question. They pause the video. They have to go to the resource table, write that question down on a Post-it note, okay? If somebody else can't answer it in the class, then I will answer it. That Post-it note is then put on the resource table. So the next student who has a question he or she has to go to the resource table to see whether that question has already been answered. So we're not wasting people's time. You know, we're not wasting anybody's time, and they're not wasting their time, and I'm not wasting their time. So what then happens is they work through the videos, okay? And the question would be, well, how you know they're doing great work? Because you look at the worksheets that they have completed. Now, two things happen. First thing, I thought to myself, my gosh, what am I doing here? I don't need to be here. Second thing that happened, the collaboration among themselves. The searching in and out of applications to find the content that they need was amazing. It was absolutely amazing because I got out of their way. I let my ego go and I started doing what I actually need to do, and that's teach and help students that actually need to be helped. So that's where we go, and it was wonderful. And what we did was I documented it. We have a program in the UK called Tablets for Schools, where Google has given us something like 500 Nexus 7s. So what we're doing is we're taking this content right here, putting it on the Nexus 7s, and we're going to send about 20 of those to Uganda to try to help the students there. So we're trying to build up a bridge between Uganda and us, and then some of the kids go online. We have one teacher who is his charity, and so what the kids would do is try to teach each other. Try to teach each other, because some of the Year 12s are going over, I think, after January. The other thing that we're doing here, and I probably won't be able to show you because of the internet connection, is that if we go through, we've done it for all the teachers through here. There's a resource tab. Now, if you come here, this is her lessons. So if I just click on one of them. And I think the thing that what we're trying to do is be consistent throughout so the kids know the experience that they're going to get. So it's not looking one way one day, another day. So within all the subject areas, we're going to have a specific look and feel for those specific subject areas. So here what we've got, if parents want to see the homework that the students have, it's right there. If parents want to see any other information, it's there. I'm trying to find the... They want to see the PowerPoint presentations that are gone on that particular lesson, or even the lessons that are coming ahead, is there for them to see. And then the other thing is what we've got here. So this is a typical lesson, again, of what some students might go through. When they come in, they will listen to
To understand what maps are and how we...
tutorial about maps.
I want you to think about why maps are useful.
What they would then come through here is they will have information about what they need to do with the starter. If they finish the starter before everybody else, what they can do is tap here. If they tap on that, oh. Come on. It's not coming up now. Anyway, there's something that comes up there. There you go. So that's the extracurricular stuff that they need to do. And what we're trying to do now is to build in extension work for all the students. So therefore, if a student is finished, we've got extension work to take them further and further and further. So when they're finished that, they tap there to close. What we've then got is these are a series of maps, which they need to write the common features of maps. And we've got an audio file here that explains to them what they need to do themselves. The idea being that not less communication, but the more independence we can build up, the more these kids become employable, the more when they get into Key Stage 4, which is year 10 and 11, the more independent they are. When they get to sixth form, the more independent they are. So we don't have to worry about spoon feeding these kids. Part of the problem is we spoon feed them too much and they're not learning, but that's another issue. So if we come down here, we have task 2. And then if we come down here, we have audio files which explains, I'm not sure whether this is going to show up. No, it's a shame actually. It's the internet. So, but what we have in here is we have a form which is fueled by Adobe Form Central. And it's a free account you can get. And what we've got is we've got all the fields that the students need to do. We've got also in there where they need to fill out. If they've worked on the iPad and created a document, they can upload that file to the server. So that teacher can then go in and see exactly what that student has done. We've got things like date field, so it puts the date in there so the teacher knows exactly when it's been uploaded, and et cetera, et cetera. On the side, we have the social networks. So if the students need to access something that we're talking about and we put it up on one of these social networks, they can go straight there. That's linked to the school's social network section, so we can actually go straight there.
So Renaldo, in this project, you've showed us you've used Adobe InDesign to build the basic
Yep.
DPS document,
Yep.
right? And DPS, the Digital Publishing Suite, which
Yep.
is associated with InDesign. You've embedded videos.
We've embedded video.
Embedded audio.
Yep, audio.
Embedded PDF files.
PDF.
Embedded links to websites.
Yep.
And probably embedded interactive things.
Yes,
I don't
we
know
have.
if you know this. It's probably dangerous to tell you this, but you can also embed Captivate HTML files inside of this content. And if you report to a learning management system that's AICC, it'll actually send the reported data from quizzes and results.
Okay, that's what I'm doing on the plane back tomorrow. Okay, I'll figure that out. By the time I get back, I'll have it up and running. So that's what we're doing there. Thank you for that. Now, very important. I was talking about differentiation. If you see from the drop-down menu there, the kids differentiate their own work. They differentiate where they're at any particular given time. Now, you got to give it up as a teacher. You got to give up some control, okay? But it's either you go crazy, trying to please everybody, trying to make sure that everybody's, or you give up control and then have some sort of means of checking the work as they go along, okay? Okay, how much time we got, Alan?
We have, I don't know, it's 12:05. What time? We have 10 minutes.
Two things I want to show you.
Leave time for questions, though. These guys are going nuts with questions.
Okay. Two things I want to show you here. One of the things is I built this, and this one here is sort of like e-safety, e-learning.
Sweet.
And what we do, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I got this thing for fish. I don't like to eat them, but I love to see them swim. So you can see my fish swimming on the top there. If you come on down here, what we've got, all the cartoons we're building in Illustrator. I'm a failed cartoonist, I think, in another life. If you then come on down here, again, it probably won't play. I don't know whether I have them embedded or not. Oh yeah, this one is embedded. So that's my fish.
Thank you so much for coming to the e-learning part of our session. Remember, our primary objective is to keep you safe.
So what we do is we use that in order to teach. We're working with some primary school kids. We use that in order to teach the concept because we have a connection with the primary school that's coming into our school. So we use that in order to help them get, sort of like where they're going to come and what they're going to do. And we take the iPads out to their schools and we actually let them use the shared iPads. Okay, last thing, and then questions that I want to show you. I think then, Alan, can you bring that website back up, please? I think then the thing lies that, okay, we got all this for the kids, and parents are going, oh my God, I have no idea how to use this stuff. So what I've done in the last few days, what I built up is I built up a series of videos. All the series of videos are tutorials on how to use the iPad. So we've got at the moment, about 6 or 7. So as a parent, if I want to know how to go from screen to screen, we've got a tutorial on how to do that. So we've got all the tutorials on how to do various things. So what we want to do is make sure that the parents are going along with their kids. Otherwise, when these students bring these devices home, they're like, they have no idea what's going on. So we want to make sure. And I will be continually creating a series of tutorials for the students as we go along. Okay, questions? Yes? The ebooks I use quite a few actually. I use something called, what's that thing called? It's called, one is Pages, you can do on a Mac. The other one that I use is it's the CBB, I think it is, Creative Book Builder. You can do it on that one. But what I'm going to start doing I'm going to start doing a lot of Acrobat stuff, so I can embed a lot more stuff in with the Acrobat. I'm going to start using that. Yeah, so that's what we use.
And then my other question is, I really like all the way that you can track the students in here, but I think I have kind of a similar situation probably where we'll put out content, but then I don't want to track individually the students because there's so many of them. I would want their managers to do this, which I would imagine that you would want a way to look and make sure that the teachers are tracking, especially the ones that were resistant to using this technology, that that they've bought in and that they are going in and they're looking at their students and their progress instead of you having to manage the individual students, you manage the teachers managing the students.
No, they do that.
We're
I just
working-
create this and give it to them.
But how can you tell that the teachers are buying in and are actually using it and tracking it?
Because I check. I just go and have a look at when they have classes. I have passwords to get into the management system, so I go and have a look.
See what
And-
the teachers
Yeah.
have done?
Plus, a lot of it is tied into their assessment. Their sort of teachers. What do you call it? Teachers. You know, as a
Well-
teacher. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to explain. Renaldo's using a method right now of just relationships and associations, right? We're working actively now on differentiating different levels appropriate for education. So the ones that we're kind of aware of that we think need to be there are an administrative access level layer, right? And we'd be really interested in hearing from you guys to what degree that is. I've met a lot of IT directors or directors of technology that are below the superintendency level, above the principal level, or somewhere in the middle there, but then are above all the educators level. So obviously the educator needs access to be able to get in and edit and make changes, monitor, and so forth and so on. But it seems also that the administrative access might need access to deploy, just as it would in a corporate environment, deploy, and then multiple teachers teaching the same content could have access to the same kind of modules, right, but under their own purview. We also are aware that there probably needs to be side-level access for parental supervision kind of things, so that parents can come in and see how their students are progressing, and that probably is in some ways different. But we'd love to hear from you today, tomorrow, and so on, like what you perceive as the dominant means that are necessary to be able to access this information in terms of both if anybody's in K to 18 education. We think K to 12 is different than higher ed, and we think that K-12 and higher ed are different than corporate and training. So we're really interested in hearing from everybody, all the different opinions, and we would probably have different solutions.
But also my situation is a little different because they brought me in to do this. So we're trying to take the work off the teachers.
Yeah.
Okay? So if a teacher wants to, he or she wants to learn, then I would show them. But most of them are so occupied with what they need to do with the classes. So I build, teach them how to monitor, how to track, and then they go and do it from there. And you know what? You've got to let them go. You can't hold their hand throughout the whole process. And once they see how valuable the information is coming back, you know, they want to check and they want to see. And we haven't had anyone who's said, no, I don't want to do this yet.
The other thing we're exploring is the question of whether, ultimately our philosophy here is that we want to reduce the workload for educators. We think a lot of solutions that are out there that deal with data have left us with mounds and mounds of data that's completely inaccessible. So we have kind of a multi-pronged approach. One is make the data accessible in terms of ease of understanding and comprehension. 2, ease of access, being able to get to it easily. But 3, make the data intelligent enough to push into the lives of the person who needs it when they need it. So if that means that data needs to alert a student that they're falling behind, then that's something that should be available. If that means that data needs to alert an educator that student X is falling behind consistently on objective Y, which happens to meet key curricular objective for the state system standards of this particular number, then the system ought to be able to catch it, see it from the assessments, inform the teacher and possibly the parent if that's what the educational system wants, and then also make a recommendation about how to intervene on that student's behalf. I think we're at a really cool cusp. We're at the cusp between these massive data dumps that don't tell us anything, and we now have the ability to make the opposite. Data that actually informs us and says, here's something that's wrong, and here I'll help you, I'll show you what it is, and here's some advice about how you might want to be able to fix it. And then, you know, then people can go forward with that and get really excited about, oh wow, you know. So it's kind of like inverting that paradigm and thinking in terms of how can we help the teacher rather than how can we become just sort of a big data dump.
Any more questions? Yes.
Renaldo, do you have any artifacts or resources that you've shared online for people who want to start experimenting?
If you go to rllearning.com, rllearning.com, that's what I put everything up there, what I'm doing with teachers. So a lot of the stuff that we create, I give examples of what we're doing there. Because I think, again, as I said initially, I think part of the problem is people don't know what's possible. And until you know what's possible, you'll never create it. You know, you will never create it. So it's a matter of showing people what's possible. And what I'm hoping is that when people see what I've done is that they will then get another idea that they could do something better than what I've done. And then come and share it with me so I can do something better than what they've done. So it becomes, no, I'm just kidding, no. But I hope that they will share it, you know, with each other. And it becomes a thing where, because the bottom line is about the children, you know, and it's about making sure that those kids are prepared for the world that we have no idea what's going to be like, you know, but at least preparing them for part of what we know, you know. So that's the bottom line.
Does seeing you do it make the students more aware that they can do it themselves?
Yes, they do. Yes and no. Yes, because I'm sort of not in the computer classroom anymore. I'm sort of doing some geography and business and stuff like that, so I'm not behind a machine anymore. But one of the things that we're going to start doing with the geography class, we're going to start doing virtual reality. And there are some apps out there that are very cheap or free that you can do a lot of virtual reality stuff. So we can put up different things like, if not necessarily QR code, but pictures around the room, where when they look at the pictures, it will give them information to research and to do something else. We're doing things like for PE on the field. We're recording them doing, say, like sprints, and then we're putting it in slow motion and breaking it down with the, you know, so staff can break it down with the students to help them to understand what they're doing even better. And then kids are looking at that and then critiquing others and doing stuff like that. So it's a long process, but it's one that, again, if you don't know what's possible, you don't know. And so we're just trying to show staff what's possible and then letting them go ahead and do it. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Renaldo, the model that you're using in terms of implementing this is one where you are at the top here with the team collaborating with the teachers in order to implement this initiative as such. I would think that you have some resistance from the teachers in terms of people thinking you may be encroaching on the actual way in which they deliver their lessons. But aside from that as such, is that what you would recommend for any school that wanted to implement something like this? To have someone like you with a team, with the technology, operating above the teachers in a way, or collaborating? Is that a feasible model for implementation that you think works?
I've seen it both ways. And I've seen it without somebody like me, and I've seen it where they want the teachers. And what happens with the teachers is they become overwhelmed with what they're doing. And if you look at what's happening with Creative Cloud now, the amount of updates that are coming, you know, it's almost impossible as a normal teacher to keep up with that stuff. But, you know, I feed off of that, and I love that. And if they don't put updates up, I'm going to be calling in and writing in, so where's the next update? So it depends on the individual. And I do think that having done both systems, I do think it makes sense to have somebody who that's what they enjoy doing, that's what they can do, but who's a teacher. So someone who understands what a teacher goes through. Because you can bring in a web developer, they have no idea what teachers go through. You need to have somebody who understands the ins and outs of teaching and the intricate parts, because it's all about breaking the lesson down into bits and pieces that's digestible by the students, all students across the board, so a lot of differentiation. So it's not just bringing somebody else in to do it, it's bringing somebody who has been in the teaching profession for a while.
That's very important, because sometimes you get caught up with the technologies.
Yeah, and to me it's not so much the technology, sir. To me it is finding a way to give content to these students that they want to be interested in learning. It's not, oh, look what you've done in this, look what that's not what it's about. It's that this child chooses to pick up their device and listen to their teacher. That's what it's about. You know, regardless of what it's been created in, it's about making sure these kids, man, are successful. That's all it's about, you know? It ain't about me, it ain't about you, about nobody else. It's making sure these kids are successful.
I've seen about, of the K through 12 schools that we've worked with, I've seen about half have this kind of top-down system where it's usually a level of director of technology or sometimes assistant superintendent of technology. About half are doing it that way. The other half seem to be more from kind of highlights or edge cutters who are among the faculty, but who are kind of visionary among the faculty, the kind of leadership people. I don't know, Kate, you might have different experiences. You've had a chance to see people around the country with their things. What do you think? Is it?
What was that?
No, we were just talking about, is it more typical now to see this sort of top-down where there's a kind of administrative level technologist like a director or an associate superintendent for technology that's kind of guiding technology, or is it more common still that we're seeing them crest up from below? What do you think?
We see a little bit of both. For the most part, we're seeing like the top 1% of teachers get something started and it'll kind of bubble up to the top and then get across. But then we have things like Clintondale High School where the principal was just like, nope, we're doing this across
Sort
the
of
board.
pressing
and
it down.
helped, bring it from top down. So I think both methods work really well.
Yeah, it does seem to be working both ways.
But one thing I will say about any method that you use, the content needs to be personalized. Okay? It needs to be personalized. You need to give those students a reason why they want to learn. There's no bigger reason than the person who's in front of them day in and day out, who probably see more of them than their parents do. Okay.
Oh, I was going to say, I definitely agree with that. That's one thing we're always trying to encourage people to do, like put your voice in your content.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to put your face, at least have the voice. But
Crazy Talk Animator, do some cartoons. Kids love cartoons. Yes?
I mean, on that note, so why is it that you're using more illustrations, like, you know, Crazy Talk
Sorry, I couldn't.
So why is it that you're using more illustrations like Crazy Talk Animator rather than putting yourself?
Because some of the teachers don't want to be seen. Some of them just don't want their faces. There will be some, like the gentleman who did photography, he doesn't mind. But a lot of the other guys just didn't want to be seen initially because they had no idea what it's about. Remember when I was saying that they don't know what, because when I talk to people, they look at me like I'm crazy. You know, have no idea. And I wanted to create something where they weren't on the forefront, it was only their voices. But what I'm finding now is that more and more people want the cartoon because it's the voice. And I don't think it necessarily means, because they know it's the teacher. You know, they know it's their teacher voice. So I think that's the sort of association. It's about association. If you want,
Scary and old. Do we realize how old we are when we're teaching the lesson and using the camera? So, do you use Voki?
yeah.
Voki, I like today on Sunday, and I use Voki, but I make it a different avatar every time. So I'll be a witch today, telling them I expect to be doing this in the classroom today, and they're like, "Whoa, this is a witch."
but if you want to go to realillusion.com, realillusion.com, they do Crazy Talk and they do Crazy Talk Animator. But in conclusion, to what I want to say to you is that I don't see personally and honestly any tool out there at the moment, the way it's coming, that's going to be better than Presenter for what I need to do and for trying to get my teachers on board to understand what's going on and to keep track of what their students are doing. And the thing I like about it, it is so colorful and simple to use, and you don't have to wait 5 years for a response. It's quite responsive. And the teachers the one teacher with the transitional website that I show you, we did everything via Twitter. I didn't speak to her. We just did the Twitter thing, and then she sent me the PowerPoint, and I uploaded it, and then she was able to do whatever she needed to do from her point of view. And she just came back to me like, wow, this is amazing. You know, please give me more. And I had to say, no, I'm sorry, but I can't because I don't work in the school anymore. I'm in another school now. So, you know, so that's the way it goes. Any more questions? Okay, well, I thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.